Morning. Nice to see you again. Hey, by the way, we got snow outside. Got a new look for the rest of the morning. I want to talk about this movie that I watched today. I actually watched a couple of different movies. I'm not sure what I want to tackle first. Let me just talk about some of the stuff that I've been watching and the analysis that I'm thinking about bringing each movie, and I need to do it without copyright. I just want to talk right now and not worry about editing. I watched Superman 2, Superman 3. I watched Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. I watched the more recent Terminator. I even watched, get ready for it. I was actually repelled by the title, but we'll start here. Starring Mel Gibson, came out in 2000, What Women Want. What happens to Mel Gibson in that particular movie is telepathy. Mel Gibson has an accident. He's working for an advertising company in New York. They're trying to figure out, which is also kind of revealing. It's like there's truth in fiction, but it may not be the overt part of the plot. But they're focusing on their demographic, young girls, teenage girls, all the way up to women in their 20s and 30s, as being like the main focus of the advertising companies because of their, um, to dominate their minds, to dominate the market, if you will, and purchasing decision of a lot of males, for example, or partners of a lot of females. This is now well known. So that was the basic plot. This advertising firm was looking to upgrade, right, their understanding of this new data. So they brought on a female, and I forget again the name of that actress. So already there's like male female competition over this like CEO like position. So like Mel Gibson is scheming like, I got to deal with this to hold, my own place, if you will, in the company and move up because he was finding himself replaced by a female. So this accident um, um, befalls upon him. He's already trying to manifest his reality by trying to think like a woman. The whole exercise presented by um, the female that was placed in charge. So people look at this box of items that contain things like pantyhose, lipstick, bras, and other things, and then get inside the mind of a woman and come up with slogans. And I can actually relate to what it is that scene was about from actually, and I did go into debt for this, student loan debt, but I did go into radio broadcasting school. Wasn't something I would recommend, especially unless I would recommend audio, video, or multimedia if someone is going to go to school. This is me, not knowing any better in 2005. Remember, one of the curriculums was to analyze, but I didn't read the whole book. I remember actually doing a skit on my own show where I picked up the book and threw it, kind of like at the camera and hit the wall. But it was about the love bites, hitting people in the heart with advertising, mind control, mind screwing people to where they feel they love a product or need a product or have a soul connection to a friggin' brand. That is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But that is, right, the mindset that anyone in the advertising business, and that includes those that work in radio that make commercials for companies to promote their restaurant, to promote their business, to promote their service. It is often the person at the radio station tasked with copywriting and the elemental production. So you have to be like really like giddy about straight up just snake oil salesman shit. That's why, you know what, there's a lot of people get a bad rap for being snake oil salesmen when some of them may be trying to do the right thing. But like our industry is based on being a snake oil salesman. The industry of radio TV, when I say our, I mean our nations, our planets, not so much alternative media, but it exists there too. But I'm talking about hardcore, where it's just like buy now, advertising, power of influence, power of suggestion. Let's get back to the movie. I went on this derailed rant. So we have here a situation to where he's manifesting his reality because he wants to see inside the mind of the woman, if you will, as he's pulling up the pantyhose and falling down and hitting his head. Right? He's literally trying on this stuff like a guy that tries on women's clothing and whatnot. This one scene, and his daughter walks in with her older boyfriend who's trying to get in the 15-year-old daughter's pants, which is a side plot. And so he also falls and hits his head, gets electrocuted. So there's a theme there in the film of electricity. And then it made me think about Tesla and the alleged story of Tesla getting his ideas about power from a dream state or even from an alien being. But in the case of Mel Gibson hitting his head and being electrocuted and then having a shift in consciousness, that seemed to tread along a train of thought to where there may be a level of reality to that particular element. to that particular element, the idea of electricity jolting human consciousness and altering it to where perceptions are changed and telepathy is therefore possible. Now, also think if our planet was to go through a lot of changes and we were electric beings and we're interacting with these geomagnetic storms and it is more likely affecting our consciousness and we may actually be able to develop certain abilities that we may not be taught about in our conventional public school systems. But I believe that we do have power to rise above. See, that's why I think they're trying to traumatize us. I know I'm going off on the rails into side topics, but think about it. Our consciousness is being traumatized for a lot of us to think that we're victims, when we need to get out of victim consciousness and be in our true power, regardless of the world events that are taking place. So, anyway, we have this theme here, like electricity, sparking human consciousness and taking it higher. Interesting theme. So, what starts to happen to him? And he starts to think he's going mad. Interesting. Interesting little analysis there or metaphor, because I like to look deep into things and look for the spiritual gnosis to the allegory. We're going to be doing a lot of that this fall and winter through a lot of films. But right now we're focused on this. He starts hearing the voices of women complain about all these. He's like, oh my God, I know the mind of woman. Wow, I can use. Once he realized, okay, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to be Mr. Suave. Now, when he was doing that, being Mr. Suave and using it for his purpose, he seemed to be playing the role of the devil. He was being Mr. Hi, I'm your friend. Oh, I'm reading your thought. You know what? I'm going to use this against you. Hi, I got your idea. So this woman, Helen, was coming up with ideas, good ideas, but he was reading her thoughts, parasiting on her thoughts, and he was making it his own. So here's another spiritual truth. Somebody could be psychic or have conscious powers, but not be spiritually developed. They can actually use their powers of psychic capability to hurt others or to manipulate others by knowing, right, how they're thinking. So using their power of telepathy against them and weaponizing psychic ability. That's wrong karmically. So he started also through his enhanced perception. I'm just hypothesizing again, looking too deep into things here. With this ability, his heart began to grow. There was a heart-mind connection. And I'm not speaking off a script. I'm literally speaking off the top of my head. But there does happen to be a heart-mind connection. And in some meditations and visualizations, there is talk. I don't think I brought this to you guys yet about connecting consciousness with the heart. In this plane, you know, I'm thinking about getting back into maybe showing you some circular motion and how this for me is a meditation to bring focus to me, but not about violence. It could be applied to a self-defense situation like blocking a blow or redirecting or moving around someone. And even maybe even to wrestling, being fluid, and even jujitsu particular techniques where you're fluid and you're moving around, your hands are flowing, even if it's a grab. But at its core, for me, it's a peaceful thing when I'm moving those arms around in a fluid manner. It's a spiritual thing. It's the art of self or soul expression. And in that sense, I feel like I understand the spirit of Bruce Lee. I'm not even close to being at his level. It's not about that. The spirit, though, of what that man was about. Where was I in all this? Golly gee whiz. But for me, applying that intuition to body movements takes me into a special place. Going back to the movie, Mel Gibson is brought into a special place in his heart through that mind-body connection. And again, which I think these movements can, again, bring in that body, heart-mind connection. Heart-mind connection through the movements of the hands, which are energy centers themselves. So he's having an expansion of his heart energy as he's getting inside this woman's mind and feeling strong feelings for her as a person. Whereas he was somewhat of a womanizer prior. He was developing somewhat of a conscience. That's probably the best way to put it. So anyway, and getting back to the movie, so she ends up without a job because of his ability to close the deal with Nike and whatnot, and he now is feeling guilt Mr. Scrooge is no longer feeling so cold-hearted. Again, this opening of his consciousness here, along with here, what was creating, feelings inside him that were very, very different, and he went about trying to correct his wrongs. So it doesn't get too deep into it, but see, even in these movies, we have these allegories of consciousness and how these powers can be used for good or for evil. And that's what I want to leave you with.